Okay, so this theoretically should be working. Does this work? Okay, so this theoretically. Oh, nice. Okay. Does this work? Is this working? I can't tell if this is working. Oh, it is working. Cool. Yeah, oh, also, streams live. Okay. I don't know. Oh, come on, guys. Go easy on my room. Yeah, it's pretty messy, not gonna lie. But it's mostly clothing mess. Except for those bags. Okay, it's kind of messy, but... Okay, I guess we'll get started now. Alright, so I'm new to streaming on YouTube, so I don't know how this goes. I've only streamed before on Twitch and live edu.tv. So I'm not used to like this YouTube interface, so bear with me. But anyways, alright, so I'm just gonna get started. I have this one project on GitHub. It's called Mosu, and it's the only like project of mine that is still running live. All my past projects are, you know, just kind of archived away, and they're shut down, but this one is still live and it works. But as you can see, it's like pretty outdated. This was the project that I did. While I was freelancing and doing my past work in my past company, I made this over the course of about 2 weeks. And as you can see, it's like really outdated. There's like no design really. And I just wanted to update some things about it. Now, I had this separate project that used React, and as I continued to build that project, I realized that it was something like the features that were in that second project was something. Oh, the camera's up here. So the second project had features that I could just as easily merge into this one. And the reason I hadn't been paying attention to this one as much is because the React, the Laravel, like everything about it is kind of a couple versions behind. And those versions were significant changes. Like they had significant changes. So it's not an easy matter to add new code to the old code base. I want to use things like ES6, but the old React is written pre-ES6, so it's kind of messy and it's not like consistent. It still uses things like var keyword instead of the ES6 let and const keywords. So just like a bunch of little things like that prevented me from working on this any further. I kind of just dismissed it as being in the past, but I realized that this is the code base I guess I know the most, and so I wanted to do a technical and surface level overhaul, just kind of like a clean sweep of everything. Like I know a lot more. The last time I worked on this actively was like a year ago, and in that time I've learned a lot of things on how to make things look better, on how to make you know, this not happen, like scrunched layouts. I've just learned a lot. So today will be the first, hopefully in a series, you know, where I address this particular project from the inside out, from the top to bottom, and just change everything out. Now I want to plan my stream a little bit, and not just my stream, but like the trajectory of what I'm going to do with this project. Mosu.io. So I had this notebook. Where is it? I don't know where it went. Okay, but I just want to do a couple things straight up. I want to, right now I'm using CDNs. Let me just open this in Sublime Text. Okay. And I hate this theme, so let me just change this theme real quick. Install. What the heck? What? Alright, whatever. Let me change the theme to whatever I have lying around. This is not my main editing machine either. My main one is a MacBook Pro, but it's at my workplace right now, so I'll do Solarized Dark. Solarized. What is impacted materialize? I don't know what I have on this machine, to be honest. Let me just look around real quick. I want to make it as visible as I can because right now I'm working on a huge iMac, and the resolution of this is actually massive. And if I streamed at that resolution, nobody would be able to see the text. So I'm trying to make sure that everyone can see what's going on. Why doesn't this work? This should work. My package manager doesn't seem to be working either. Alright, but that's beside the point. Right now I'm using CDN calls to import React and React DOM into my HTML, and that's like not good practice. If you look down here, I have this HTML comment and then a call to cdnjs.cloudflare, and look at this. Like, this is just very bad practice, and it was before I knew a lot about Webpack and Gulp and stuff to minify and uglify JavaScript. So this is one of the things I want to remedy. So like implement proper Webpack, and then I want to swap out Bootstrap for Bulma. What else did I want to do? Oh, update the ReactJS code base to ES6. So those are the main focuses. Yeah. Now, okay, so a couple things with refactoring. I don't know how much of you guys have refactored old code, but after a couple months pass by, it's basically brand new. Like, I don't remember half the code I wrote for this project. and I look at it and it's completely foreign to me. So I'm gonna have to like understand what's going on, think of what my goal is. Why isn't this working? This is going to be problematic if I don't have package manager. Hold on. Think about what I want to do with the project, and then slowly start to swap out pieces so that over time I can update the entire thing. Let me just restart. I don't know what's going on. Ignored modules. Package control. Why is that ignored? Okay, now boxy theme. All right, so oh yeah, I believe if you go to the URL for the live stream, you can type messages. So if you have any questions, either you can post it there or on the Slack, and I'll try to address it. Okay. That is very strange. Preferences, color scheme, boxy theme, boxy nova. Okay. Does this work? Nice. Okay. Hopefully now you can see what's going on. Also, I want to change this font out. I don't like this font anymore. Does this work? Nice. Okay. All right. So now the setup is ready. Now I have to install JSX. Okay. Now I'm gonna set the file format for this file to JSX so you can see the syntax highlighting. All right, great. Now we can kind of start. All right. So yeah, as I said before, this project violates a lot of best practices. I'm kind of like ashamed of this code base, which is again why I didn't want to touch it. But let's just dive into it. For those of you who are foreign to Laravel at all, what's going on is, okay, I'm trying to remember. All right, so user makes a request to mosu.io, which is the domain for this project online. It gets routed to the DNS, whatever. It hits a DigitalOcean droplet, which is just DigitalOcean's fancy name for a VPS, which is sort of just a fancy name for a server. And so it hits the server, and then Laravel receives the request, and it gets processed here. So if you can tell here, this is PHP that you're looking at, and I'm using Laravel. So I use route : get, and so this just a bare slash symbolizes just like the home directory. It's like the same thing as this. So I set a route so that if a user goes to this page or this URL, then it gets handled by a controller and the index method on this controller. So let me open that file up. Okay, so now we can see the index method here, and in that method it returns a view with the name main. So if I open up main, I'm going to make it 2 panes here on Sublime Text. Oh, do I have Keycaster? Hold on. I want to download this app real quick called Keycaster so you can see what keys I'm pressing when I press it. Yeah, this one, I think. Let me just install this real quick. Quisk. Right now I'm using Homebrew, and Homebrew has this thing called cask, and if you do brew cask install something, you can actually install GUI applications through your terminal. So like Google Chrome. Right now I just downloaded the Keycaster thing via the terminal. It's pretty handy if you ever want to use that. Keycaster in the menu bar and dock. Okay, so it's very small. In this bottom right, bottom left, you can see it. I'm gonna make it huge. Okay. All right, so now you can see it. All right, so if I go to open two terminals, two panes, and I open the main.blade.php file, yeah, then this is the PHP file that's getting returned on the right when the index method is hit. So if I look here, this is the file from earlier with all the CDN calls. And then here you'll notice that there's this little div with the ID of app. If I start to look at my React stuff, okay, so yeah, when this page is delivered to the user, the request has been processed and this page is delivered to the user, this div with the ID of app gets hooked into by React. And so up until now, it's been, the DNS and then Laravel as like the backend serving the request. And now React is taking over. It's like this is like the threshold at which it becomes the front end. So now I'm going to start opening up my React related files. Let's see what I did. All right, so this app.js app.js, bootstrap.js, yeah. This is the file that sort of creates a bunch of global objects. And again, maybe it was okay practice a year and a half ago when people were still trying to figure out React and stuff. Well, React is a couple years old now, but it wasn't that bad practice a couple years ago, especially for hobby projects. Nowadays, you would probably never do this. But anyways, this bootstrap.js file gets run. It sort of creates global, like very, very high scope objects. So you can see here, var app equals, and then this is an object, and views is an object, auth is an object, and utils is an object. So it's kind of just scaffolding a bunch of objects that I can populate later. So if you look here now, bootstrap.js gets run, and then what is it, Mosu? No, app. Yeah, app gets run. And so now install. Okay, yeah, so now this right here, the React DOMs.render, this method, if you look into it, it looks a little chaotic if you haven't seen and worked with React before, but if I strip away this method call and this at the bottom, then all it is some HTML-like syntax, right? There's a div. Inside there's this junk, and it looks a bit like XML if you've ever seen or worked with that. But this is JSX. I'm sure you've heard of it before. And it's just a chunk of HTML essentially. And this right here is the juicy part that hooks everything together. Document.getElementById app. And that is what is hooking into this, right? So it finds this div on the right, and then it drops this stuff in there. That's what this React DOM.render method is doing. For anyone who has been learning React within the last like 6 months or so, this is gonna look like it shouldn't work because again, like the newer React, you have to do something like this. You have to like add an explicit return, and just like little things are different here and there. But this is the actual code that's running Mosu.io right now. So it does work, and I'm not insane. Let me see. Okay, so I don't know. Why do I prefer Bulma over Bootstrap? Honestly, it's not that Bootstrap is bad or anything. I wanted to try out Bulma, and with Bootstrap there was a bit of a learning curve. Not like because it was difficult, but because there's so much, right? Like if you go to Bootstrap and you go to their getting started page, there's just a lot. They have so many things for you to use. No, what is it? Components? Yeah, the components. If you look on the right here, there's I'm going to make it bigger so maybe you can see. If you can't see something, please let me know. Again, there's like the resolution issue. Glyphicons, drop downs, button groups. There's so many things you can use. And just after a while, like dealing with Bootstrap, like if you have a library as large as Bootstrap, then you're not only importing the CSS, you're importing the JavaScript as well. And in order to sort of pick out what you want, that's just extra time, extra configuration that you have to write. and it's just heavier in general. So like it's not that Bootstrap is bad. If like the first time I was prototyping this, I did use Bootstrap, but now that I'm sort of revisiting it, I want to kind of optimize things. And Bulma, as far as I know, it's just a little lighter, and because it came out recently, so right now if you look at here, it says version 0.4.3. Right now Bootstrap has so many millions of users that when they want to update something, it takes time, right? And they have to make sure that every update is very, very well documented, and if there's any breaking changes, like things in the new version that will make old code break, then they have to roll those changes out slowly. So it, like, after a while they are hindered by needing to accommodate those users. But Bulma, since it's newer and they're kind of rapid, and they let you know from the start that, like, and you should know from the start that if you're using a 0 point anything project, then the risk of things breaking is higher. So it's sort of an agreement that you enter into with Bulma, where they'll say, like, we'll try to give you a newer framework that sort of learned a lot of lessons from Bootstrap and Foundation, and we'll be primarily focused on Flexbox, which is newer tech, instead of Foundation and Bootstrap, which sort of added in Flexbox slowly as like an add-on or like a beta, you know, a side thing. They are like entirely focused on Flexbox support from the start, and because of that, the way and the approach that you use it's just completely different. Like, for example, you know, it's not completely different. There are similarities, of course, but it's still different. So if I go to Foundation's website for Foundation sites, if I go to the sites document page and I go to their grid, where's their grid stuff? Flex grid. Yeah, so here, this is how their Flex stuff works, right? You have to have a container div with the class row, and then inside those things, you have small 6 columns, or like large 4 columns. You have to specify the ratio in a class like this. These utility classes are only meant for sizing the width of the column, right? But Bulma is a little different. Like, sometimes you just want 2 divs that both take up 50%, right? And if they both take up 50%, or if they take up 33% each, essentially if there's any situation where all the divs need to be the same size, then there's no reason to have to designate the width specifically. And so Bulma, for example, if you go into their grid system, if you look here, right, there's a container div like before with the class of columns, but every child div in that only needs the class column. It doesn't need like column small 5 or anything like that. Oh, there's people talking around me. Yeah, so that's like a little perk, you know, and like there's a lot of little perks like that because Bulma from the start wasn't really hindered by needing to support other people, etc., etc. Yeah, if you're not able to make it, I think... Yeah, okay. So, anyways... Yeah, so let me go back to this thing now. Now, I think this is the point in the stream where I'll sort of stop talking so much, because anybody who's watching has had sort of the primer and you're up to date on what's going on and how this application works. Hold on, someone's here. Yeah. Hi. Say hi to them. I don't know who that is. It's the group. Yeah. Live streaming. Fantastic. Enjoy. Okay. How's my friend Bill? Oh, that was Bill from the group, BK. So that was him. Yeah, so this is the point in the stream where I'll sort of switch off the talking and switch into the actual code, because there's a lot to get done, and there's a lot of like catching up that I have to do. I don't even remember how this works, so I have to remember it. I have to like read all my old code, see what's going on. So hopefully, if you have any questions, I'll keep an eye on this Slack chat on the side. But for now, I'm just going to switch into developer mode. I'm going to split my text editor into 4 panes so that I can open more files at once. I think all text editors can do that. And now I'm just going to get started. So where's my, I usually like to code with music, so where's my phone? I can't focus if it's like completely silent. All right. All right, all right. Okay. Now I do have a Spotify playlist that I use for coding. It's called Bite Me, and I'll link that in the chat. Where's my Spotify? Sorry, I'm drinking coffee on stream, but I didn't drink coffee all day, and I'm tired. So where's the Bite Me playlist? Share. I don't know how to use this application. Okay. Into my coding playlist. Alright, so now let's get started. First things first, I have to run my development server. How did I do that? Split the pane. Yeah. So yeah, guys, like with these streams, with YouTube, I know like I still run on a little bit, but I try to cut those down. With streams, I'm hopefully you can sort of get the vibe already. I'm trying to make them a little more chill, a little more laid back, so you could just watch it, leave it on in the background or whatever. I'm eating an apple, you know, like I wouldn't do this in a normal video or anything. Yeah, and then when I right now it's simultaneously recording, I believe. So when the time comes, I will cut it down so that's manageable to watch in a reasonable amount of time. What is going on? All right, so developing for Laravel requires running a VM called Homestead, and it's kind of handy, so I'm just making sure that Homestead is configured properly, which it's not, so I have to edit this now. 23G quick.dev. Okay, so this, I started this in vain just now. Alright, so I'm in the folder for my Homestead project, and I'm doing Vagrant up. But because I realized I had to reconfigure it, I'm restarting the Vagrant virtual machine, and I'm provisioning it so that the new configuration that I added in my homestead.yaml file will get applied. You don't need to know what's going on right now. Like this you only need to know this if you're working with Laravel specifically. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't fret at all. Like it doesn't really matter. All right, so yeah, in the meantime, while this stuff is booting and provisioning, Chris Keel, nice to meet you, dude. I'm gonna just look at your profile. I'm gonna look at the code more than anything else. Oh, I noticed you have a HTTPS. Nice. Okay. So let's look at this. All right, Chris Keel, web developer, technology enthusiast, seeking employment. All right, nice, dude. This looks really good. Just I don't remember how fast it loaded, but I don't remember it doing like slow loading, so I think it should be good. Okay, all right, so the down absolutely positioned nav bar is at the bottom. I see. All right, cool. Let's see. $11 for develop, test, and maintain. Portfolio, Malakoff Junction. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like the hashtags. Nice. Okay. Are we connected? Alright, so it looks like my homestead thing did not... Oh no, it did successfully... I see errors, but they're not important errors, so it looks like it successfully ran, so I should be able to go to... No, okay, what happened? This is par for the course, right? Alright, so... Let me add you, dude. Let me add you. Or are we already added? Are we already connected? No, it says third. I can't connect? Does it not let me? Alright, well, I'll add you later. Let's add me later. Let me see what's going on with this Mosu thing, though. Alright. Mosu. Oh. I think I may know what's going on. Okay, so the whole point of a virtual machine is it gives you a reliable and predictable development environment. Typically, you know, if someone's using Mac, Windows, and Linux, like 3 different people are using different operating systems, then usually, like 99% of the time, there's some sort of error between them. Using a virtual machine where everyone uses a Linux box, the same exact Linux box makes it extremely predictable. So Vagrant just lets you do that. And Homestead is just sort of like a proper noun name for a specific Vagrant box that the creator of Laravel made for this exact purpose. GT sites, Mosu, git branch, git test, check out master. No, wait, what is this? Alright, so I'm just doing some git stuff. Let me make it bigger so you guys can see. Oh, this keycaster is annoying. So git status. I don't know what's going on. Your branch and origin master have diverged. You have one. Alright, git pull. Yeah, that's fine. Oh my god, this is the nano text editor. I don't know how to use this thing. Right out. I don't know how to do this. How do I save on this stupid thing? Alright. Dude, what? How do you save file under? No. How do you save on nano? How to save on nano? Control O. I did that. Control O. File name to write. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, and then quit? Oh, okay, there we go. Alright, so now git status. My head, what? Git reset hard. Origin. Now I'm confused. This is what I mean. Like, it's so annoying to work on a machine that is not yours, but okay. No, git status. Alright, this looks right, I guess. Okay, now let's see. Mosu.dev is not going to work, right? Okay, so ERP Homestead. Okay. I have tried multiple times to refactor this in the past, and it always failed. I'm torn because I need to make the font big enough for you guys to see it, but I can't see it myself because it's too big. Okay, bar. All right, so this. Okay, let me just look at what's going on. All right. Okay, so let me explain this now. So this is setting up, oh my god. So this is setting up two variables, page and has token. Page is a variable that will later reflect. So, okay, so Laravel, I mean not Laravel, React has components, right? The idea of components. You render components to the screen, and this little syntax here is how you include that. So typically, you know, if you want to include just like a paragraph tag, you just do this. If you want to include a React component, then in this, within the little render method, you just include it just like this. And then this is, since it's the JSX syntax, Webpack or Gulp or whatever you're using to compile your React project will spit out the proper component when it comes time. So right now, this page variable at the top, depending on the results of this has token, it will set page equal to a different component to be returned. So this is saying if the local storage of the user has an item called API token, that means that they are not authenticated. So if they don't have it, if they don't have it, then it means they're not authenticated yet. So page is set equal to the authentication page, which is essentially like the login page, and has token is true. Yes. And if they do have it, I don't remember what I wrote. If they do have it, oh, if they do have it, then they're logged in already. So you could just go ahead and direct them to the actual Mosu application, which is app.views.mosu, right? And this file is here. So let me do the triple view thing, or double view, and I'll close this mosu.jsx. All right. Okay, so this on the right is now this old code base. All right, so this on the right is my top level mosu.jsx file. So this is kind of the file that imports all the other files and sort of kicks things off. So if a user is authenticated, blah blah blah, then the navbar will be returned, and the navbar is this thing here, which is, if we look at the bottom, you can see that these classes use the Bootstrap classes here, right? Navbar, navbar default, container fluid, etc., etc. This is using Bootstrap classes, and after it renders the navbar, depending on whether or not it has a token, it will render this thing called the inspiration box. Oh my god. If I go to Mosu now, at the top of the screen, and I log in, at the top of the screen there's this little inspirational quote that I added, you know, for job hunters to feel a little more encouraged about what they're doing. So the inspiration box, and then page, which if they're authenticated will be the Mosu object. So Mosu's here on the right. Let me explain Mosu a little bit, not only for you guys, but because I don't remember what's going on. Okay, so app.views.mosu is creating a Mosu value on the views value of the app object. So this is creating a class on the views object, which is itself a property on the app, like top level object. It's creating a class using the create class syntax, which is now outdated. It sets the initial state of the component using this, which is again now outdated, and it returns this object which represents the initial state. Oh man, refactoring this is going to be a long process, but all right, let's get started. So all right, so I was talking earlier about this other project that I'm doing. If I do that, wait, real quick, let me if this doesn't work, will this work? No, that'll go to something else. Yeah, that'll go to that. So okay. Yeah, okay, so anyways, this other project I was talking about earlier, that one is actually written using the newer React syntax, and in terms of architecture, it's the same. So there's a Laravel, the Laravel framework on the back end, and really? Okay. And it's the same architecture, so I'm gonna be opening that and keeping it on the side for reference, because I can't remember the syntax for this either. So at top level app.jsx. Alright, so let's slowly just examine what's going on the right, and here's this app.jsx on the left. Okay, import React. There's so many things that need to be updated. Right now I'm trying to figure out which part to update first. Okay, so I mean, at this time, if anyone has any questions, I'm gonna go. If anyone has any questions, just let me know. I'll keep an eye on it. JSX. Okay, so dashboard.jsx. You know what? Okay, so in this past year, I've learned about React Router. React Router is this little tool that you can use to route. I'm not with React. So typically React is, typically routing is done on the back, right? So before, when I was showing you guys my Laravel framework code, this routes.php file is where I handled the routing. You know, like if a user visits this URL, send that request here. So if they go to the base URL, then handle it here using this controller and this method on that controller. If they go here, handle it using this controller with this method on this controller, etc., etc. Typically, routing is handled on the back end, but because routing itself is so essential, some geniuses created React Router, and so this lets you do routing on the front end. And this little junk code that you see in front of you now is my attempt at sort of doing like a very simple routing thing without using any external libraries. So it looks a little messy, but you know, you get the point, and it does work. So when I go to refactor this, I think I will use React Router, because it later on I can see how it's going to come in really, really handy. So I'm not going to refactor this. This will not be my starting point. I think I'll start elsewhere. In fact, I think it might be wise to start at the lowest level. So before, I keep mentioning, you know, top level and global objects, like for example with this bootstrap.js file. Yeah, this lines 1 to 5, it's setting up global objects, right? And I'm hooking into those properties to do the rest of my project. But if you think about it, so there's like the global namespace or whatever, and I created this thing called app. There's this object called app, and in that object called app, there's an object called views, another one called auth, and another one called utils. And like, if you think in terms of like hierarchies, that's one of the hierarchies that exist. And oh, this is hard to explain. And if you go into app.jsx right here, right, app.views.navbar, whatever, this file app.jsx is importing navbar. It's also importing the inspiration box, and it's also importing the Mosu component. And then within the Mosu component, if I open the Mosu file up, and I go down to the bottom, which is the place where I'm returning the ES6 for that component. If I go here, you can see here that it's pulling in application list. And if I go to application list, and I go to the bottom again, ES6, then you can see now I'm importing new application form. And so at the top level is Bootstrap, sort of, right? Bootstrap.jsx. I don't mean the CSS framework. I mean the .js file right here. This is sort of at the top level, and then app.jsx is pulling in inspiration box, navbar, and Mosu. Mosu is pulling in its own things, and so there's this like hierarchy, right? And so my initial thought process was I'll change the global, and then I'll drill into the child components, and then I'll update that way. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm starting to think that it would be better to start from the child components, because in terms of their responsibilities and what they do, they are simpler. So let's just drill down as far as I can. If I look at the source code on the left here, if I zoom in, I don't know if it zooms in for everybody. So if I zoom in here, oh, that doesn't work. Then I go into the React folder. Let me make this a little bigger. Yeah, I go into the React folder, and I think new application form is the lowest level React component that I have. So I'm going to start updating this file to ES6 first, and then I'll move up the hierarchy, so to speak. Now, this kind of sucks, and the reason my past attempts at updating this code base have failed is because it's kind of tough without tests. And I don't have tests. That's the biggest thing that I need to do for this. It's like the most urgent side project. Like before I send this out to anybody for like collaboration purposes, or if I ever do switch jobs in the future and I want to show them this code base, the one thing I'll need to do before that point is implement code testing. And I think I'll do that using a framework called Jest, Mocha, and Chai. So if you want to look up those three terms, they're really good for testing React projects specifically. But I'm not using tests, and I don't have that testing stuff implemented yet. But I do know enough about ES6 that I can refactor without tests. So I am cowboy coding a little here. And if you're following suit, you should just write tests at the start instead of doing what I'm doing now. But right now I'm just going to try to do like a file by file thing and then see how it goes. If I start to realize that it's getting unmanageable, then I'll implement tests straight away. But yeah, let's start with this one. So, okay. I think ReactJS actually has a guide on how to refactor old code bases to new ones. Let me see. Code base overview. If I can't find it quickly, then I'll just do it myself. But okay, let me make this bigger so everyone can see what's going on. Yeah, that's another thing. So like with my, let's see, I'm gonna make it 2 panes now. If I open up my main.blade.php, this is the template. Okay, yeah, so this is the PHP file where React's code, and I don't mean my React code, I mean the React library is getting delivered to the user, right? So if I do this, you see these CDN calls here. My god, it's so hard to read this because I've inflated everything so that you guys can see what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, so in my new project, the newer one that uses Laravel and React, I use ES6, and I use this clean importing syntax that you see here, right? So import the React default module as well as the component from the React library. Also import the dashboard default module from the dashboard.jsx file. And if I split this into 2 panes and I do this, you can see that I create the class, and the syntax is different. It's not this, right? It's not what was it? It's not something like this. It's not app.views.dashboard equals react.create class, and it's not this kind of a thing. It's its own new beautiful syntax, and I'm exporting the default down here, export default dashboard. So I'm importing that here, and it's just so much cleaner on the new project. But on the old project, instead of explicitly stating my dependencies at the top of each JavaScript file, I just had this messy this junk. I had this where I require everything on just one JavaScript file, and that imports everything into one huge monolithic JavaScript file, which gets delivered to the user from my PHP backend server, and the CDN calls deliver the rest of the React code that the user needs to properly render the project. Again, if you have any questions, I know like it goes really fast, but that's kind of what a stream is for, right? So I have a Webpack. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. Rauno? I'm not sure, dude. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. But he asked if I use Webpack. I do have a Webpack config, but I don't think it does anything, because I think all it does is compile. Like, I use it the same way I used to use Gulp. It doesn't. I'm not leveraging the power of Webpack in this configuration file. It's like a dumb compiler, but I do use it, I think. I'm not quite sure. Again, I haven't touched this code base in like a year or something in a significant way. So, okay. Oh, this is such a... Rauno? I thought that would have been wrong. Oh, that's interesting. All right, cool. That's an awesome name, man. I'm all for interesting names. My name being 7 letters has definitely led to interesting conversations throughout my life. My favorite is when I go somewhere and they're like, hey, so can I get your name? Like at Starbucks when they want your name on the coffee cup. They're like, what's your name? Actually, they don't ask for my last name. More like teachers, right? Like, what's your name? Kevin O. And then I spell O-H. And then they keep listening. They're like, O-H what? like there's more to the name, but there isn't. Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's just do it piece by piece. I think that's maybe it's not the wisest way, but as always, I'm sleep deprived. So we'll just start that way. Let me copy and paste this. Okay, import React component from React. This is not going to work for a little bit, but I'm going to cowboy code and hopefully it'll work out. Let's see what components I pull in. Alright, so I'm looking down at this render function to see what this pulls in, and it looks like I use application list. So I'll do that. And where's the file? Application list.jsx. Save. Oh, I won't save it yet either. Return this. I'm not going to update the CSS stuff yet. That can come later. The name of this will be Mosu. No, wait, I'm in the wrong thing. Oh shoot, I started refactoring the wrong file. I wanted to refactor the lowest level thing, so this is what I need to be refactoring. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't use... Let me make this bigger. I know I'm flying through the code, but if it's important, I'll slow down, so don't worry too much. This is the file I hated working in, because the reason it's so disgusting and long, it's because it's a form, and okay, so right here, so when I click this modal window that you see that just popped up right now, this is the code for that. That's what that's handling. So modal fade, yeah. This.generate title, this.state.company, and so, you know, if I type something here, notice that the title of this little thing changes with it. So Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, so that's the code for that page, and there's really no getting around it, right? Because I use Bootstrap, and Bootstrap uses so many component classes. Like, you know, it'll be like Bootstrap modal, modal fade default. You can't really get around messy markup as much. But maybe if I move this over a little, it'll, yeah, that's a little better, right? I guess, because you can kind of see what's happening. All right, so this is not what I wanted to do. I'm gonna delete this. D till 14G. No, that didn't work. Whatever. Okay, so this looks like, because this is the lowest level, I don't think it pulls in anything else, which means that it should, in theory, be a simple matter of just copying and pasting this markup here. Hopefully, this is not gonna work. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, so the you're right. The only reason, all right, so I actually have an explanation. So Rauno, I'm sorry, man. I feel like I'm still saying it wrong. Rauno said that I don't need this here, and you're right. In theory, when you do Webpack, oh, do I have a Webpack here? Yeah. Oh, I'll go to my new Webpack. I didn't optimize this either, so this is still probably garbage. But if you look here, there's this resolve thing. Do I not have it? I don't have it here, but yeah, okay, so typically you don't need to include this, and Webpack, if you configure it properly, it'll be smart enough to resolve .jsx to the proper Webpack loader so that it can be processed properly, essentially. But I did have a problem because Bulma, so if you look at bulma.io, they have a Sass version of Bulma that you can download and customize yourself. So if I click download here, wait, no, that's not where, overview. Yeah, okay, so if you want the, wait, what the nuts? Oh yeah, here. So if you go to Bulma customize, then they have this Sass file for you to download. But the thing is, this is the .sass Sass. It's not .scss, and I write .scss. So, where can I write this? Yeah, so Bulma uses the .sass format, and I use the .scss format. And the thing is, this was a puzzle I tried to solve like 2 days ago, and then I fell asleep trying to solve it. I need both code bases, right? So I need my code base, my Sass code base, for obvious customization reasons, and I need Bulma's code, and I want to be able to customize Bulma's output. And the way to do that is to use a common variables file. So let's say I have this color blue, or color primary, and I want it to be some blue color. Let's just call it blue, right? I want Bulma to use that color blue, but I want my code base also to use that color blue. But they're different syntaxes, and so this right now, this line right here, this $ color primary, that's Sass in the SCSS syntax. Ugh. But if I get rid of this semicolon, now it's .sass. So it was weird, right? You need one file to be shared to two different formats of Sass, and I'm not sure that Sass loader is smart enough. So there was like some meta configuration that I needed to do so that it all parses properly, and then I got too lazy, so I disabled like the extension resolution property of Webpack where it intelligently handles .json, .sass, .this, whatever, and that mitigated the problems, and it made it like one step easier to get to where I needed to be. And then I think I just gave up at the end of that. But you're right. Typically, you don't need to include this at the end. And eventually, I do intend to configure the Webpack properly so that this is unnecessary. But good point. Good point. Hopefully, it doesn't sound like I'm just making excuses. Like, that was my thinking, I should say. Like, there was a reason to the madness. So let me go to this untitled file again. I think... Eventually I'm going to need to change the markup to be Bulma specific instead of Bootstrap specific. Right now I'm using, you know, modal fade, which is Bootstrap stuff, but I'm not going to focus on that now. So let's just keep going. This isn't Mosu anymore. This will be new application form. Extends component. As far as I can tell, that's all I need to do in regards to the bottom return method. Now I have to refactor each one of these piece by piece. And it shouldn't be a problem. And in fact, looking at this, there's probably a smarter way. So all these little utility methods are doing is it's listening for changes on these inputs, right? So like if I type something in this company input, text input, like ABC, it's listening for that change and updating this like title header thing right here when this changes. So ABCDEF, right? So this code handle company change when let's just follow. So I'm not sure how many of you guys actually work with React. So if you do know React, then you know I'll be over explaining. And if you do know React, then you should not be watching this video to learn, because this will be very like bare bones beginner React stuff. So if you're watching to learn, feel free to tune out now. It's more for fun for you. But if you are learning to learn React and sort of get a feel for, you know, JavaScript at slightly higher levels, then this is probably for you. So because that's the target audience for this stream, I'll explain things a little more explicitly. I want to talk about what's happening when I type here. So if I type ABC here, what's going on behind the scenes, and what is React doing for me that this changes as well? Oh shoot, that's loud. And just so everyone knows, I only want to keep these streams at like an hour max. I know that's short for some of you guys, but I mean, I guess I know that's long for some of you guys, and I know it's short for other people, but I think that's best to keep streams between 1 and like 90 minutes, 1 hour and 90 minutes. So today I think I'll check out around 4:30 or 4:45 or so. So if you have any questions, feel free. Oh yeah, I saw that. You know, someone Rauno's link. He linked a video to a video called "Use Tomorrow's CSS Syntax Today," and it's called CSS4. They're calling it CSS4. Someone posted that in the web dev subreddit, and it got reported a bunch of times because people were like, CSS4 is not real, and this is like spam and this and stuff. Oh, that subreddit gives me high blood pressure. I'm not going to talk about that more. But yeah, anyways. So let's talk about what's happening when you type into this input form, input field. So right now, this is the... I'm going to unfold this. I'm going to delete code as we go. Let's see. Okay, yeah. All right, so this right here. Can I zoom in? Yeah. I don't know if that zooms in on the stream itself, but you can see here, let's break down this line. So what you're looking at, again, is JSX, which is React's, I guess, not proprietary, but it's a React-specific XML-like syntax for you to be able to conveniently declare how you want React components to be displayed and rendered on the screen. It is declarative programming. At the end of this, I'll link to one of Fun Functions videos about declarative programming. But yeah, that's a side thing. This is declarative programming. So if you look at this, this specific part is just HTML. It's not actually using a React component feature. Like, it's not using fancy React. It's just using regular HTML. So if you look here, it's opening input tag, just like in regular HTML. This, the reason we use class name instead of just class, because in HTML it's just class, right? Is because since it's React, it's going to get parsed anyway. And the word class is actually, it's kind of dangerous to use that keyword. A lot of other libraries, so like Knockout, jQuery, you know, all these different libraries may or may not be in use. So when Facebook was making React, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, when Facebook was making React, they realized that the class keyword is dangerous because other frameworks might be using it. And so they made it so that you have to write out class name because that's more specific, and the odds that other frameworks will be using that keyword is lower. And by doing that, you prevent or you reduce the risk of like conflicts between this framework and other frameworks, or any other things like that. And it's also restricted. So the class keyword class equals something that's like, I believe you're just not allowed to use it for some reason. I'm not sure. But that's why that is class name and not regular class. But everything else here is just regular HTML. Type equals text, so it becomes a text input. The ID is company input. That's just a regular ID designation. Placeholder equals Adderley.llc or comma LLC. That is just, if I empty this, that's just specifying this. Value, and then this is where it gets interesting. So the value is equal to this state.company. And if you look at the top of this file, when it says get initial state, what's going on is this function returns this object here. So this is an object, right? It's an object literal. So if I were to go to some file and I do let, oh god, all right, so I do var or let x equals this, cat equal, or no, I'll use real names. So cat name equals cheese, paw count equals 4. This is an object literal, right? And that's all that's happening up here. This is an object literal that returns and represents the initial state of this component. So there's a company, but since I don't know what company the user is trying to enter, I just initialize it to an empty string. Same with the listing URL, which it represents the job post listing. Oh, and if you don't know what Mosu is at all, I never even explained it. For job hunters, if you guys are looking for jobs right now, it's really easy to use Mosu, and I'm gonna plug it, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it because I don't gain money from this. Feel free to use this. So if I do Rauno, I'll do Bauno, so that if you want to use this, you can. Bauno@gmail.com, and then I'll make my password abc123. If I sign up and then I sign back in, Bauno@gmail.com, abc123, then I get shown to this screen. And this screen is for, this entire application is basically a glorified bookmarking system. So if you go to AngelList, right? AngelList is a job board where you can search for jobs from startups. Do I need to be signed in for this? All right, no. So like if I say like this SeatGeek is this company and blah blah blah, there's some job here that I want to apply to, let's say software engineer. So I'm doing my job search and I want to look around and I find this application page for a software engineer at SeatGeek, and I really like that. Then I'll go to Mosu, add a new application, and application here means job application, not like web application. I'll enter SeatGeek here, and typically what I do is, front end engineer at SeatGeek, and then job listing URL, I'll paste in that URL. The phase just refers to whether you're just saving it to bookmark it, whether you applied, whether you're interviewing at the company, and whether you got an offer. So it just helps you manage like what phase each job application is in. So let's say I applied, the salary is 150,000 because let's stream. It's in New York City, whatever. And then if I add the new job, then it shows up here. It's nothing fancy. If I want to say like it's a fun job position, whatever, and I update, I have to refresh the page. That's actually an error, but it'll show up here. You can click here to go back to the listing. It's like a little glorified bookmarking system. But anyways, going back to this explanation, when a user is entering a new job application that they want to keep track of, I don't know that data, so I represent the initial state of that form using these variables here. Company, I don't know it, so let's initialize it with a blank string. Listing URL, I don't know it, so let's initialize it with a blank string. The phase, by default, let's assume that they're just trying to bookmark the job application. Expected salary, whatever. And the only required values are these two. The rest is you can keep track of it if you want. But anyways, so let's say now, let's go back to the JSX for this component, which is here. The value is set to this.state.company, right? So this dot state refers to this object here. And that's a bit of a lie, but I'm just going to make that lie for now. It refers to this object. So if I say this dot state dot company, it's referring to this value, right? But the thing is, now if I go here, there's an onChange event handler here. So this handle company change method is defined at the top of this file. So when anything changes in this input field, this method gets triggered. So let's look at this method, handle company change. If we go up to the top of this, here's the function definition. Handle company change is a function that takes in an event, I believe, and it fires this React method, this dot set state, and between these parentheses is just another object, right? So this dot set state is equal to an object where the company now is equal to the e.target.value. So what that means is when the event gets fired, or is it element? Yeah, I think it's the element. Yeah, so the element, whatever you enter here, so like if I type ABC, this is equal to this. And so what's happening is you're firing off a method that sets the current state of this form. It's mutating it so that it used to be a blank value. This company value used to be just the blank value that we initialized it to earlier, right? But as soon as the change happens, the set state method fires and the company value, this right here, this key, gets updated to whatever the new value in this input is. So if I type A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, whatever, this text right here is equal to this. And so this will get updated. And then because this is updated, now React says, all right, the state of this entire component has changed because this component key has been updated. And now if I look down here, back at the JSX at the bottom of the page, which represents the markup, if I look here, there's another div here. And so if the text input we were looking at earlier is down here, right? I know it's a little hard to see, and it looks like the syntax highlighting is bugging a little bit, so I'm sorry about that. But the text input we were looking at earlier is here, down there. If you look above here, there's another div, and it says div class name equals modal header, and the text that gets rendered in that div is equal to this.state.company, right? So now you'll notice if I change something here, ABC, this is the markup here. This div class name equals modal header is this little top section right here, and because the value of this is set to the dynamic key of our state called company right here, right? This.state.company. When I change the state here gets updated automatically, and so your UI stays up to date all the time. Hopefully you get what I mean by that, and hopefully you could see the potential of that approach. You know, with this, I built this project when I was learning React, so this might even be like a suboptimal way to implement this particular functionality, but it works. And if you think about this approach on more complicated user interfaces, you can see how this approach of managing state is very, very intuitive, and relative to the alternative, like compared to the alternative, which is manually updating things via jQuery. So like if this wasn't how I did it, then I would have to do something with jQuery where I manually update this, I manually update anything else that is depending on the company key of our current state. You know what I mean? Like typically something happens, and then with jQuery you're like, all right, this happened, so update this, and this with this new value. But with React, all you're saying is, all right, instead of manually specifying what should happen when this event fires, I'm just going to declaratively declare the relationship. This is connected to this, and this, and that's it. So you declare that they're related in that way, and then when this changes, you don't have to do anything. React handles the updating of the child components by itself, and it does that by way of the virtual DOM. And talking about the virtual DOM is outside the scope of this video completely, but anyway, yeah, so hopefully that's a little illustrative of what's going on. Now, I don't remember what this generate title does. If I recall correctly, like I could just do this. Wait, let me see what happens when I just do this. Oh wait, but my freaking dev server isn't working, is it? Okay, let me see if this dev server is working. Yarn is not even installed. Okay, let's install 3 npm. So to those of you who might have joined late to the stream, earlier in the video I was trying to make it so that my Homestead virtual machine was properly configured, but it is not. It is completely dead. So I'm sorry, but let's see. Oh, you guys are talking here. Shoot, I'm sorry. Don't have tests, has tests folder, so it looks like I have to. No, actually, dude. All right, so that's not me. That is not me lying to you. When I create a new Laravel project, by default, it scaffolds up that tests folder, and I think it actually has default tests in there, but it's for Laravel. It's not React testing, so yeah. Rinthi Lab. I don't know who you are in the group, or if you're in the group at all, or if you're just new to the, if you're just a YouTuber who stumbled upon this stream, but welcome to the stream, man. I don't know who you are. Or woman, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. Okay. Terminal. Oh, npm's still going. All right, so all right, so in the meantime, if you guys have any questions about other stuff, be happy to answer it. I'm gonna ping the group. Oh, hey, Chris. Sorry, yeah, I wasn't sure who you were. Oh, yo, I didn't get a chance to look at your stuff. Oh, okay, Matthew. Is Matt okay, Matthew? I'll call you Matthew for now. You don't have to worry about that. Like, I think after a while, you know, if I recall correctly, you have been working with web development for a while, right? Like, you've been doing relevant work. Like, I have no idea what, like, you know, Python, the Python world, the .NET world, I have no idea how to hold up a conversations about those topics, but Matt, all right, great, nice to meet you, Matt. This music's too loud. But it's stuff that you pick up intuitively on the way. Like right now, we both know JavaScript, right? If I talk about the let keyword or, you know, arrow functions, to someone who doesn't know what that's all about, it sounds so opaque, and the terminology can be so overwhelming at times. But please trust that the only reason I know what I'm talking about in regards to these tools is because I spent like a week or two just browsing the documentation. It's not like a thing that I picked up from professionals or anything. Yeah, that would be me also. Yeah. So oh, real quick, let me check. I'm gonna make sure that npm is like, it's still going. I hate npm, you guys. If you are currently using npm, I highly recommend trying Yarn. You can go to it at yarnpackage pkg.com. It's an npm alternative built by React. No, oh shoot, built by Facebook, and it's a lot faster. And npm 5 is good too, but I just use Yarn and I love it. So try Yarn. It's faster than this, presumably. But in the meantime, while that's running, I'm gonna take a look at Chris's code base. And I've always maintained that it's a disservice to anyone if I like go easy, right? So I'll list all the criticisms that I have very openly. So let's see. And again, so whenever I do these kinds of critiques, Chris very well may have a reason, right, for making some of the trade-offs or compromises that he made. So when I say like, oh, this is wrong, or this is bad, or this is bad practice, please don't take it as like you don't know what you're doing. It just means like I just want to call your attention to it. If you probably already know with some of the simpler things, but I just want to make sure. Okay, so hero is primary, is full height. Okay, app.css. So you are, this does look like Bulma. You said you were using Bulma, correct? Okay, so let's look at what's going on here. I'm going to look at this sources tab of Chrome DevTools. This will let you see kind of what got delivered over the wire or over the network. Static. So if I look here, this should be the image, right? Yeah. So double click this. 211 kilobytes. Okay, I guess that's within reason. Let me try something. Again, so these are one of those things. Like, I know you know that you have to optimize images on websites, but just to be explicit and thorough, let's see what happens. I'm gonna try to go to tinyping.com, which is a compression tool for images, and yeah, so I compressed it here and it only shrank it down to 195 kilobytes, so that's not too bad. Let me open it up in preview though and check the dimensions to make sure it's not huge. Even though you optimize it, if the image itself is massive, like 10,000 by 10,000, then one of the optimizations you can do is to just crop it. I'm on an old iMac as well, so it uses a physical hard drive, so things are like slow as balls. Pixels. So this is 1920 by 1080. That's fine. Yeah, I guess that's fine. It's because it's not like this image is loading on every single one of your pages, correct? Let's check that. If it was the same image, it doesn't even matter because it'll be cached by that point. Oh, all right. It's a one pager. All right, so that's great. Wait, is it? Yeah, it's a one pager. All right, great. All right, so your HTML looks pretty solid. It's not cluttered, and it doesn't look like you have quote unquote div-itis, which is where it's just div. That's a bad thing, but you don't have that, so that's good. Script source is at the bottom of the page. That's good. ID about portfolio section. All right. Tile is ancestor. All right, so it looks like you are using Bulma. All right, so you're using semantic good HTML5. This is really good. Picture. Oh, whoa, is there a picture? I've never even seen this. See how I learn stuff every day. Ooh, what is this? Source media. Yeah, I don't use these. So, yeah, see there, I learned something too. HTML5 has so many of these little things, and media. Oh, snap! That's actually pretty useful. I might use this. Yeah. Oh, snap! Really? Is this how it works? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So that it looks like this picture thing is a way to handle media queries within your HTML markup, which is handy. I've been doing that differently. Like, our approach that we use at work is the only one I know for this particular situation, and it's different. Or is it? I'm confused. Oh, okay, yeah, I see what's going on. I didn't know that's what's going on behind the scenes of a media query. All right, anyways, let's keep moving. I mean, from a top-down perspective, it looks fine. There are some things I noticed regarding the design itself, but that's, that's less of a technical criticism than just a subjective style thing. Yarn is so much faster than NPM. Yeah, it's so much faster than NPM. Div-itis is, why is it a bad thing? It's conditionally a bad thing. Sometimes it's fine. Like, let's see. So let's take a look at Elmsade. Hold on. Okay, so this is a live preview. All right, so this is a admin panel template. So like, you don't have to care about this at all. You're never going to use this. You don't have to use this. This is one of like hundreds of these kinds of things. You don't just ignore it. But look at the UI for a second, and it's really complicated, right? Like, there's a nav bar at the top with drop down, well, not drop downs, but with like JavaScript behavior going on. There's fixed drop downs on the right. This collapsible nav bar on the left. Collapsible accordion. This is called an accordion. This little click it and then it collapses or whatever. Or is it? I think it is. Yeah, so an accordion on the left, and it's just overall, right, there's a lot of things happening. In this case, because there's so much, a little bit of div-itis is unavoidable, right? So if I look at this, yeah, so see how it's div. That's not bad in this case because you need it, because it's a complex enough layout. But as you can imagine, this, while it's still like, you know, there's still stuff going on, it's not, it's an order of magnitude simpler, and it should be, because it's just a portfolio site instead of like a UI application thing. But this is an order of magnitude simpler, even with this like, you know, this structural stuff going on. So if you were using something like 10 divs to achieve this layout, it means you're relying on a hack. You know, it means you're doing something wrong and you're breaking the rules somewhere. So it's conditionally a bad thing. Found that picture tag on a Google developer article. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a very cool way of doing that. I think I might bring that up at my workplace. What was I doing? I was doing something. Oh, npm. Are you done yet, you bastard? Okay, let's see if this works. Oh, maybe my hosts file isn't configured. Alright, so hosts file. No, it is configured. What the nuts? Mosu.dev 8000? That, I'm just trying random stuff now to get it to work. Oops. Oh, PHP. Hold on. I think I have to do some like beginner stuff. PHP artisan migrate. Yes. Are you kidding me? Accident for why? What's going on, dude? Using password now. Why is this in production? PHP artisan down. I can't see what's going on because this stupid keycaster. Okay, I don't know what's going on with my backend. I'll fix it the next time I work on this. But all right, so let's keep working on this. I'll just chill for like 10 more minutes and then call this session an end. Oh, by the way, I did create like a vlog of sorts, but the footage, I'm debating whether or not to actually show it to you guys, because I filmed the office and I wanted to show you what it's like for those of you who haven't like worked in a techie company before. I just wanted to share what it's like, you know, to work in a place like that. Not to, and you know, it's always like, please trust that it's not like a humble brag or anything like that. That's like the last thing I want. But let's be real for a second. Like when I was like applying for these jobs, seeing the offices and seeing the environment, that was like one of the biggest reasons I had, the biggest motivations I had for wanting to work harder, to learn this craft and to learn this field, to get better, because I wanted to be in that kind of environment. And hopefully you see, like, you know, I have a messy room. I'm just like a regular bum. And if you can like grasp, especially the newer developers out there, for those of you who are seasoned, I'm just going on about nothing, but for the newer developers who may just be getting started, and maybe you have some imposter syndrome and you're feeling, you're kind of like, why am I even learning this? Like, it's not going to lead anywhere. I want to be able to show that those kinds of environments are like within your reach, I guess. And so I shot some footage, right? I shot some footage in the office. Everyone was kind of like, what are you doing? But I was like walking around with my iPhone, filming the office, and everyone was working. But that's kind of not the image I wanted to show you. So the office itself is like, you know, it's nice, it's cool, whatever. Some people call it hipster because there's like wooden floors and it's not carpeted, and the people there aren't like in suits like I am now and stuff, or dress shirts and stuff. But that's like the serious environment. You know, we're on a time crunch right now. We got a deadline coming up in like a couple days, so everyone's kind of like down their head to the grindstone. Is that the saying? I don't know. But I wanted to show you guys what the office is like when people are talking and like being more proactive, and so they could say hi to you too. It's like I wanted you to meet some of them, you know. So especially the other front end developer. There's a great developer team there. You know, it's not all developers, obviously. There's marketing people, designers, etc. But I wanted you guys to meet the other developers who are there. It's like a really diverse group, and they all have their specialties, so it's really cool. And I just wanted you to see. But because no one was talking, and because I felt like I was interrupting a little bit, I'm debating whether or not to include that footage. But it is coming. And the Git project as well. there's things happening every day that you guys aren't really aware of. So maybe you think, you know, oh, this group is dying down, but trust, you'll see the progress soon. Also, I have an accountant on call to whom I'm talking about the grant program. So all these things are continually happening. There's progress going on in the background. So just in case you wanted an update on that. What am I doing? All right, yeah, so this React project. Oh, but yeah, just closing thoughts about this site. There's a couple things I would say, Chris, about the design itself. And I'll be brutal, right? Because if I'm not brutal, your interviewer will be brutal. So couple questions, right? I'll just rapid fire go at it. Typically on the top left here in the nav bar, there's a logo. That's just convention. You don't have to follow it. But you should be aware that you're breaking that convention in that tiny way. I'm sure you are. On the top right about portfolio contact, there was some article out there that specified a minimum amount of contrast. There's not as much contrast here, and some people who are hard of hearing, no, not hard of hearing, who have like slightly below average vision, they might have a little bit of a problem seeing this. Some workarounds might be to make it a little bit bigger, or to make it bold, so like font weight bold. Let's see how that looks. That looks a little weird without the font being bigger. So what is the font right now? Font size is 16 pixels, so if you do 18 pixels, where something, I don't know. Just you should know that the contrast may be a little subpar. This also, headers are typically bold again, but you know, these are stylistic things that are very common, but headers are typically bold. Web developer technology. Good. There's a hover effect. This works, and this, oh, it goes to the bottom. All right, so that works. About me. One of the things that are common with new portfolio sites is the border radius. A lot of people like the border radius because it kind of makes things look bootstrappy, but let me just try something to see if it doesn't look a little better. Border radius, sometimes it looks better without it, so yeah. All right, it's subtle. I think it looks good. Let me try adding a box shadow. Wait, what? Title this child. Damn, this is annoying. Okay. Shadow 3 pixels. I forgot how to. What is the syntax for box shadow? 0, 0, 3 pixels, 3 pixels, gray. Oh, that's really. BA 250. No, 0, 0, 0, 0.3. And down 2 pixels. Pixels, 5 pixels. Does that look stupid? Yeah, that looks stupid. Never mind. So I was thinking, if the Materialize and the Material Framework, one of the biggest things that they do is they simulate real-life materials by adding shadows everywhere. Sometimes it looks good if you add shadows. Just a thought, you may want to consider adding shadows somewhere. Not the place where I put it, because that looked dumb. But does it have a shadow? It may actually have a shadow. I just can't see it that well on my my screen right now because my resolution's messed up. Ooh, you have projects. I didn't even notice that. You might want to make these hashtags a little bit smaller and this button a little bit bigger. And also the contrast between this purple and this is a little hard to see. You could use a hollow button here. So if you were to do border 2 pixels solid 705 dB5 and the background is transparent, and actually that doesn't look right either. Brighten this. That looks weird too. But just so you know, the contrast is a little hard to see. Other than that, I think it's pretty solid. Oh, this I would argue against this background color. I did this too. See, there's like a couple things that when you're first starting off, because you know CSS, it's like a strong compulsion to use CSS. But one of the things I always did was I colored the body. But I would argue that it looks better if the body is just white. Wait, am I targeting the right thing? Is the body itself? Oh yeah, here. Okay, so white. Not wheat, just white. Yeah, I would argue that this actually looks better. It looks cleaner, in my opinion. But everything else, it looks pretty solid. I would work on these screenshots because this looks a little frayed. Maybe you can add a border to the images themselves. Like border something here, like border 2 pixels, solid white, whatever, you know. And you could round these off as well. Border radius 3 pixels is the value used elsewhere, so you could maybe do something like this so that it looks a little more contained and coherent. Other than that, I like this, dude. I think it's relevance of the background image. I mean, it's a nice image, but some people might be like, why did he use this? But again, you know what I found is that typically recruiters and stuff, they seem to be more driven by the initial emotional wow factor than anything else. So it's not like they're going to actually see this and be like, he's not a whale. Like, they're not going to be that nitpicky and annoying. So the initial reaction is good because it's like a pretty image. One last thing regarding the mobile layout is this is a very long way to scroll. Oh, but no, never mind. You're right. You handled it properly. All right, great job. So this is good. I really like this, and if you add more effects, I think that could be your next step to just add a little wow factor. I think you already know about animate CSS. You can do like kind of just add water CSS animation, so things like that. All right, just little things like that. You might want to check this library out, but otherwise. Let me see. All right, so I got off topic for a while there, but because this thing is broken, I can't really do too much on this front end refactoring project. So I think I'll just end it here for now. My voice is a little shot. So let me know what you guys thought. I know that this was kind of just like the first of many, and it was all over the place. It was a little scattered, but as I sort of pick up steam with refactoring this thing, it'll get more and more specifically focused on the JavaScript aspect, the internals of the JavaScript aspect, the tools I use, and more code basically than talking. So while I have you guys, I'll just do one final ping. All right, so wrapping up stream. Anything else? 15 seconds, and I will close. All right, so. If in the next 15 seconds no one says anything, I'll just end the stream here. It was fun. It's been fun. Hopefully you guys get to see the progress of Mosu, and once I start fixing up this stuff internally for PHP, Laravel, all that stuff, React, and it's all updated, it'll be at a point eventually where if you guys want to contribute and like issue some pull requests to fix some issues, then I'd be welcome. I'd be open to that, and I'd definitely credit you for your work and contribution. So, all right. So no one said anything. I think I'll wrap it up here. I forgot how to close the stream, but yeah. Oh, this is it. Okay. So it's been fun. I'll see you guys next time, and yeah. Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Monday? Sunday. Happy Sunday to the people who saw this live. Happy Monday to the people who will see this tomorrow or Tuesday. I don't know.